Well, let's talk about apostrophes. This is a topic that the SAT definitely covers and can make as confusing as possible. So let's make sure you fully get it. And the trick with apostrophes is to understand they have a completely different job with nouns than they do with pronouns. And so I'll show you how to use them with nouns and give you an example. And then I'll show you how to do them with pronouns. And I'm going to give you a whole bunch of examples to make sure that you have it straight. All right, so apostrophes with nouns is used to show possession, such as the tree's leaves are floating in the breeze. And we can see here, this is an apostrophe S, which signifies we have, right here, there's only one tree, right? If it were the S apostrophe, now you would have multiple trees. Like here, the houses, we have houses are already plural and we just tack the apostrophe onto the end. That means that it was multiple houses that had their windows broken. It must have been a terrible storm, right? So plural nouns now, if it's just plural, it is not possessive, you do not give an apostrophe. So she owns several cameras. Oh no, that's what we call apostrophe abuse. That hurts my eyes to see it, right? It's not like the cameras own anything. It's just plural. It's just that she has multiple cameras. So that is not possessive. It does not get apostrophe. Remember, when something is possessive, the word after it is the thing it possesses. So the leaves, the tree owns those leaves. The houses own those windows. The cameras, no, it doesn't own the is. So you can tell the camera is definitely not a possessive word there. All right, so let's do the SAT style example on this one. Okay, please pause the camera, pick your answer. Right? Hopefully you had a moment to do this yourself. Let's look at it together. Here we have uh, Hitchcock founded an innovative chair company in the northwestern hills of Connecticut, right? And it actually is going to be option A here. If you said A, fantastic job. In B, it is fine to say Connecticut's northwestern hills because Connecticut does own, right? It does possess those northwestern hills. The problem is the hills, there's nothing, no word after that except for where, and that's not a, they're not possessing the where. So the problem was the S apostrophe on hills. Here, what's the word after hills is of. Now, the word of can also be used for possession, right? So you're not going to use an apostrophe S and the word of. You're going to use the apostrophe S or the word of, which is why it was correct here to say the hills of Connecticut. You don't need the apostrophe if you're using the word of. So this is wrong. And here, Connecticut's, let's look at the word that comes after it. Again, that's where. No, Connecticut does not own the word where, so that's a misuse of an apostrophe. A is definitely the answer here. All right, now let's talk about the pronouns he, she, it, they, them. Mostly it versus its, right? That's where everyone gets confused. Possessive does not get the apostrophe. So his and hers do not have apostrophes. The girl picked up her toy, no apostrophe there. The puppy picked up its treat, no apostrophe there either. So apostrophes are not for possessive pronouns. If you see its, no apostrophe, that's possessive. The thing is possessing is the treat. So you're looking at the word that comes afterwards. Yeah, possessive is perfect. Why don't we use the apostrophe there? Because we're saving it for a different job. The job that we're using it for is contractions. So it's raining outside is just a shortened version of it is. And when you see it apostrophe s, the apostrophe kind of takes the place of the space in the letter I there. So make sure you can read it as it is raining outside. It sounds great if we read it that way. So that's a correct use of an apostrophe as a contraction here. It's without the apostrophe is always possessive. It's with the apostrophe always means it is. And what about this? ITS apostrophe? It's not a word. If you see it, and sometimes you do, especially on the ACT, cross it off immediately. That's never going to be the right answer. Okay, I told you to have a lot of examples. We're going to mix together nouns and pronouns and make sure that you have this straight. All right, try this first one. This is actually an ACT style question, and that's okay. All right, I hope you had a chance to pause and you got the answer for yourself. Um, So there's an important archery tournament today. This is okay. So Ellie is checking that her arrows have their feathers. Oh no, that's the wrong version of there. So the problem here is not the apostrophe. The problem is the word there. It looks like a spelling mistake, but because it is really a word spelled T-H-E-R-E, it's just the incorrect word. They call that a word choice mistake, but it looks very much like a spelling mistake. T-H-E-I-R is the correct word for this place. So now we know that A is wrong. Now there is fine, but there's apostrophe S is exactly the same thing. That's just the contraction version of there is. So there is and there's both okay. So I don't see anything wrong with B, and B is going to end up being the correct answer. What about C and D? Well, right here, that's apostrophe abuse because arrows have, they don't own the have. This is a simple plural. It is not a possessive. So it's wrong because of that. And same goes here. Her arrows have, the arrows do not own the have, so it doesn't matter if it were S apostrophe or apostrophe S. There should not be an apostrophe at all. We just want the straight up arrows. B is the right answer here. All right, let's take a look at this one. I see the its and the its. I hope you remember which one's correct. Please make your choice. Okay, when we look here, we see the company continued. The company is the antecedent. We do want to make 100% sure that that company, right, is a singular. We're not going to call it a them, and that's true. Every once in a while, that is what gets you. You're thinking so hard between IT apostrophe S and ITS, you forget they could both be wrong. In this case, it is going to be one of them, though. And just try to fill in it is, and that'll tell me if A is the correct answer or not. Um, but closed it is doors in 2006. No, definitely not that. Closed its doors. Does it own the word that comes next after it? Yeah, it does own those doors. Like the thing is possessing are the doors. B is the correct answer here. All right, let's take a look at this one about All Saints Day. Please pause the video, make up your own answer. All right, I hope you're ready. In this case, All Saints Day, we have multiple saints, right? So it started as plural. There was already an S at the end, and then they do own the day. The day is for these saints. So we want S apostrophe. B is going to be the correct answer. Although I have to tell you, it was a little tricky. If that was an S apostrophe or an apostrophe S. So I did something that the SAT often does in this question. I changed the preposition, right? At, on, is, or of. So you had a second shot at getting the right answer. You don't have a day at 609 AD, in or of 609 AD. On is the correct preposition for this statement. So you had two different ways of getting B as your correct answer here. All right, this is going to be our last apostrophe question. Please pause the video, get your answer. Okay, make sure you write down which one you picked because this is the tricky one where I'm trying to trap you. It's apostrophe, ITS apostrophe. Please cross that off right away. If you said C, my heart will be breaking because I told you that's always wrong. But now we're looking at it is versus its. And don't forget, there can also be a possibility. So let's check. What is the antecedent? Is it singular or plural? Well, bacteria is the antecedent, right? And I am so sorry to tell you this, but bacteria is one of those weird words that when it is plural, it does not get an S at the end, right? It's sort of like data. The singular of data is datum. But we never talk about just one datum, right? We always talk about a whole collection of information, and that's what the data says. We're using data in its plural form. And bacteria, those tiny little things that make us sick, well, we don't always have just one. Usually, one bacterium ending with an M is a very uncommon thing to talk about. Usually, we're talking about the thousands of them that are enough to make us sick. Bacteria is plural, and because of that, is and its are both wrong, and we had to go with D for there. So don't forget to check the that the antecedent is singular or plural, while you're also checking whether it means it is or it's in the possessive, right? In this case, it is possessive, but it's possessive plural, so it's there, D.